Good evening, viewers, and welcome to Step by Step, a parenting program brought to you by the Child Rights Alliance. My name is Asani Tini, and I'll be the moderator for this evening's discussion. Tonight, we want to look at the topic of parenting skills education. Now, just what is parenting skills education and how useful can it be? Tonight, we're going to explore this topic, and I know parenting in this day and age is very challenging, and all parents I know can agree with me. So how can you get some help? So we want to see how best we can help you by sharing some very useful information with you. Now, with me in the studio, I have four persons who have extensive experience working with parents. So now I'm going to give them the opportunity to introduce themselves, starting from my right.
Good evening, viewers. I'm Sherwin Fraser, Special Education Needs Specialist and author.
I'm Nadia Hollingsworth, and I'm the National Coordinator for Parent Teachers Association. I also work with parents and children for a number of years in the education system.
Good evening, viewers. My name is Melanie Hilleman. I'm a teacher and I'm a parental officer.
Good evening. I'm Keith Vigilance, elder of the Berea Assembly Adventist Church, and working along with youths in the communities.
Okay, well, thank you all for being here with me this evening, and I look forward to a wonderful program. So the first question I want to ask, what exactly is parenting skills education?
For me, parenting skills education is equipping parents with much needed guidance and assistance to have them become better parents. When we say skills, you know, it is something that we want them to, it's something that can't come overnight. You know, everyone wants to be a parent, and they don't really get the training to become a parent. Everybody expects them to be, you know, the best possible parent, and it's something that you're not being trained to do. And when you have these children, you know, and you're now confronted with having to bring them up in the way that society deems fit, you know, it's a challenge. So the whole thing about parenting skill education is trying to work with parents for them to get the best possible results there is.
Oh, for me, it basically refers to guiding your child. Being equipped with knowledge as to how do I guide my child or children, how do I improve myself as a parent, and how do I correct my child along the way in his or her growth and development into adulthood.
For me, I would say that parenting skills education would be any activity that would guide, support, and help parents to be effective in caring for their children. It goes a bit further to look at behavior management approaches as well as you know, skills development. Because when you look at parenting skills education, it is really helping parents to move from one stage to another in terms of the knowledge and their capacity to deal with the storms and stress of children, particularly those who would be in their adolescent stages. We know that that's a very challenging stage for children, and at that time, parents encounter many difficulties in, you know, dealing with behavioral issues. So, as I said earlier, it would be helping parents through guidance, support, and any areas that would help them to improve and to build capacity.
Okay, helping and guiding parents. Now, Melanie, I know that you're a parenting skills officer, and most of our viewers may not be aware of what you would do as a parenting skills officer. So tell us about your work in that area.
Basically, we try to cover several topics that can improve your ability to function as a parent effectively. There are several topics. We have this topic that is very interesting, the early childhood experience. Oftentimes, we as adults, we shove our early childhood education in a box and never touch back on it. And when we get the opportunity to check up our early childhood experience, to our surprise, that in itself has its ripple effect to our adulthood. There are other topics such as power struggle, domestic violence, self-care, self-esteem building. Oftentimes, we as parents put everything aside and focus on our children that we even forget about ourselves. So the program in itself gears to help the parent to meet the needs of the parent first. So when you deal with you, who am I, recognizing yourself as an individual, your children then there are able now to see you for who you be and the pattern life, because many times you find that children are looking for role models. Unfortunately, in some homes, they're not finding role models. We as parents are, this is my opinion, are failing our children. And I'm saying that in the sense that when these children are looking for the role model in the home and they look around and see mom or dad can't or ain't doing the job that they want, they go outside. They look for the next person outside. Many times they follow the negative rather than the positive. Even in the schools, sometimes they're not even getting good role models. So unfortunately, we have a job in our hand that needs to be fixed.
Okay, I want to ask Mr. Vigilance, because I know you were a part of the parenting program. So tell us about some of the learning experience you've had as part of the parenting program.
Well, it's more or less like twofold on my part, on the part of parents that I saw or worked along with in the program, in the sense that you're never too old to learn.
So true.
And this is one of the things that we have to come to grips with. Okay, my parenting days are over to an extent, but not over, because I have grandchildren coming, and I still have to guide the children to look after the grandchildren, which are their children. So the parenting role, it more or less changes and takes on a different attribute as it goes from time to time. And I've seen the need. Some parents are getting so frustrated in the program, and but I tried that and it never worked. Tell me how you try it. And this brings me to the point. The parents need to get the know-how.
Yes.
That's the great big lacking. Because you tell them, do this and do that, and they don't understand clearly, but they go on and they try it out in their own way, and then they messed up. But then is when we're going to want to beat them down. As I say, you don't beat a person down because they make a mistake, but you help them in that mistake to develop. And that's a skill that we need to learn and to pass on as parents. Because rightly, as Melanie says, the children are looking for role models. And we are role models, whether we understand it or not.
Positive.
But the thing is, the role model that we are will either be positive or negative.
Yep.
And the things that we do, we are training them. So if I am doing it negatively, I am training them negatively. If I'm doing it positively, I'm training them positively. And this is what the parents of today need to understand. Hi boy, I don't want to see you smoking. And in there,
Presence.
you're not to the ages yet. But when he meets a certain age and he feels that he's there, he is gone. You turn a big man. You have been training him negatively all the time, and you're not even conscious of it. And this is where we need to get the education of the positive and negative training that parents need at this time.
Okay, so I'm getting that parents need to be aware of their condition.
Definitely.
Because
Yeah,
you have to
different.
first help yourself
Yes.
before you can help the
Help the
children.
children.
And you mentioned the point about the know-how. So it tells me that maybe there's something lacking in parenting today. So I'll ask you, panel, tell me, in what areas do you find parents lacking based on your experience working with parents?
The first one for me is love and affection, showing love and affection to their children. That's a big one, and
Very
many
big
don't
one.
seem to understand that children need love. You know, many of us, you know, we're too busy. We do not have the time, you know. We have to go looking to bring in the bread. We do not have the money, so we're agitated, you know, when the children come, when you come home, you had a hard day, the children come, you know, come for a hug and a kiss. We shun them, boy, go and sit down, girl, go and sit down. But if we look at ourselves as adults, and if we extend our arms to our spouse, and you know they do that to us, imagine how we feel. But those children do not have spouses, they have their parents, and so they look for the love and affection, and many times it's not there. So for me, that's a big one, and we need to start with it from the time we conceive as parents.
I love that. I love that.
That's a big one for me.
I haven't heard that statement much and for a long time. We need to start at what time?
Conception.
When we conceive. And some people believe it starts when the baby born. When the baby comes out and you can hold it and see it. But it starts from conception. And there is where the root problem lies. Because you've conceived, but you don't know you've conceived. And you are doing all manner of things. So between that time of your conception to the time of your consciousness of your conception, you could have and would have done a lot of things in the line of training that child that is coming. And I don't like to use the term fetus. That child. And here it comes back again to educating and understanding that the conception within you is a child. It's a person. Note how tiny it is. It's a person. And every person have what? Personality. And you are developing the personality of that child. But when that child becomes 5 or 6, and you see them demonstrating certain attributes, you want to, where you get this from? Where you learn this?
Blueprint.
Definitely. Look back at your conception time and see the different things that you were doing during that period, and you will understand. You have 2 children. The one come out, like to read, and the other one come out, you don't want to see anything in the book, but you got tools and pick up the tools. How come? Because you check back in your conception time, and this is not only for the mothers. This is not only for the mothers. Fathers believe when the mother conceives, she got to do all the things. I'm out of it. But I taught my children the way that that child in there is yours. You got to communicate with that child. And I have seen it. My boys, the kind of relationship that they have with their children in their infancy stage. People are amazed. They attach to the father. Why? Because when that child was in there, they communicate, they relate. And this is kind of education that parents need to understand.
For me, I want to build a little, or just to see a little from what my fellow sister just said. Oftentimes, because parents never got love and care from their parents, many parents can identify or put the right hand up or left hand up to say, I've never heard my mom or dad say I love you. So if I never heard my mom and dad say I love you, how then can that parent tell their child that they love them? From my standpoint as to what is lacking, communication.
Yeah.
There's no, in homes, there's not much communication happening. Communication is the gateway to break down the barriers in relationship building. From the minute you begin to communicate with your child, automatically a relationship starts to build. And you begin to find out things about that child that they're going through, because he or she's going to come and discuss things with you. But because we're so busy trying to make a living that we forget how to live. Many of us are on the gadgets entertaining others in our homes, forgetting or neglecting the ones who are present in the home.
That's right.
And the ones that are present in the home needs us more than the ones that we're trying to make communication with. Social media has taken a vital part of our communication skill that we just neglect our children. I remembered my son, I going to collect my son from, it was primary school. So we would use the Merriman's Mall so we could get to Albertown. And we would see an empty bottle. If we see an empty bottle, we'd kick the bottle. So he kick it to me and I kick it to him and he kick. And you would see the laughter on his face and then he's going to tell you how he feel about it. Those are small things that actually break down the barrier. We need to break down that barrier, build open the gateway to communication, and the relationship building is it.
For me, I would say in one word, which is understanding. I believe that if parents understand their children, they'll be better able to relate to them. Because you see, many times children behave in specific ways. They behave in different ways. It might not be the normal type of behavior. And so some parents have difficulties understanding, these changes in behavior. Perhaps it's, behaviors that are abnormal. And so you find that in terms of their parenting skills, it goes different from the norm. So I would say basically if parents understand the needs and the desires of their children, they'll better be able to relate to them. That will also lead to better communication. And in so doing, they will know how to deal with their children. If they see things that are not supposed to be happening, they'll be able to talk to their children. It also goes to, a little further to talk about communication, as one of my colleagues mentioned. But you see, the point is that if they don't understand their children, they won't be able to communicate, because children need to be comfortable to be able to relate to their parents. And if the environment is not conducive, you will never find children coming and talk to their parents or disclosing things to their parents. There will be distance between parents and children. So communication is important, but at the same time, parents need to understand their children. And in that, they will build that relationship, they will build that bond. The bond can only be strengthened if parents understand the needs and the desires of their children.
So, go ahead.
On the point of understanding, I think one of the things that parents need to understand, that children are love. Children are love, and love doesn't need hate.
True.
And we fail to understand that when we do negative things to our children, we're teaching them hate. But they are love. And as my sister rightfully says, a child comes and you want to hug, you don't have the time. You don't have the time to hug your children. It's very bad. And what you're doing is pushing that child away gradually. And when you push them away from you, who are you pushing them to?
Into.
A man out there, a woman out there, somebody who's just looking for a prey. Parents, we need to know, we need to pull our children to us. I got two little grandchildren. When I get in the car with them, they're all over me. And sometimes the parents are, you're setting the nerves. But they have something that they can play with, and they're comfortable. They're happy because they can do what they want with me. And as long as they don't injure themselves and they don't injure me. And that's what children want. Children want to be happy. And parents like to see children happy, But they mustn't take their time. That's the hard part.
I like the part we said with play. Children, this is the thing, they like play.
Definitely.
But then some of us are so busy that we can't even find time to play with them. During this Christmas season coming up, I find that you could find some time, squeezing some time, play a game of jacks with them, play something with them. If it's one thing a child wants to know is that they can say, my mother is cool, but yet she's strict.
All right.
My dad is, hey, my dad and I did so. My dad and I went to Fun City, but at the same time, he's strict. So play with them, enjoy them, because they soon will become adults.
All right, well, I'm sure we've picked up a lot. So we're just going to take a very brief break. So please don't leave. Stay here with us. We'll be right back.
we just get some challenge with these children. The talk would not make them pay attention seriously when you talk. So maybe you give them one and two thoughts.
No, that's wrong. Looks not could never benefit you, and let's just make sure you get more bad.
Yes, I think sometimes, because if you spare the rod and spoil the child, you, the parents, will suffer in the end. I'm not saying that you must abuse them, but I think that would, enlighten them and let them know how serious you are with them.
Definitely, because I say I do give my son a few lashes because it benefited me when I was young, and it made me the man that I am today, and not just a man, but a man that can actually bring up his son in the right way. So licks do benefit.
I came from a Christian background, and according to the Bible says, spare not the rod and spoil the child. So do what is right by scolding them or giving them a few lashes or something, or disciplining them in whatever area, it will benefit them, because from that alone they will be able to know that what they're doing is wrong, and they can learn from that.
No, I don't think licks benefits no one, especially children.
Okay, so welcome back to Step by Step, the parenting program brought to you by the Child Rights Alliance. And if you're now joining us, we're looking at the topic of parenting skills education. What is it and how useful it can be? Now, we were just discussing what are some of the things that we see lacking in parenting. And I wanted to ask the panel, what about the family network system? I know in times past, families were more together. They were big households, the extended family. But it seems with the globalization and traveling that is so easy and accessible, the size of families is getting smaller. Do you think this is in any way contributing to the problem?
Generally, family structure will play a part in children upbringing. For me, it depends on the value of the family setting, because children would have grown across all family sizes, not only now, single parent, family sizes and forms. In terms of single parent, the nuclear, the extended, the newly extended, and we had persons who would have benefited positively, and we also have persons who would have benefited negatively. So in the family setting, for me, it depends on the value. There again, it comes back to people, whether they would have been parenting us or parenting people well, because we know that we have grandparents who would have taken on the roles of parents. We had siblings who would have taken on the roles of parents. And again, we had positive and negative results. So again, it comes right back to the people themselves and the values. We know that religion plays a meaningful part or role in raising children, whether we believe in, whether we're Hindu, Muslims, or Christian. But strong religious values, that has a great impact on children. You see many children who would have grown in homes where they would have gone to church and so on, values were different. We do have a few cases, where the environment would have shaped the individual other than hereditary, because some of us, we know that regardless of some children, regardless of the environment they grow, they will still go out. But for me, that's the minority based on my experiences. So religion for me plays a strong part. So it depends on the values of the family, where the emphasis are, what they value, how they treat people, what they stood for. And based on that, you will get the outcome from in many cases, in many instances.
I think that's a very valid point.
Yeah. based on what Nadia said, I like to just add a few things more there. While family structures do play a part, I think one of the things we need to look at in the current society is that some of our parents, they themselves have not actually experienced what effective parenting was all about, and so they are now faced with a situation where they have to parent children, and to deal with all of their issues, because many parents experience personal issues, and so to deal with their own issues is a challenge. To deal with children who might be given problems is another challenge. And so while family structures might have actually played a part in what we've seen today, the current arrangement, it's a situation where parents need to understand their role, their purpose. And I think in our last discussion, live on television 2 weeks ago, we focused on some of these areas, right? They need to understand their role. They need to understand their purpose. And as I mentioned then, Nadia also mentioned it this evening, religion. Religion is very, very important, because I don't know how families will actually, suffice these days without any kind of religious instruction. Children in particular, because religion do help children, and it do mold and fashion their lives in positive ways. And so we could never actually raise children without some kind of religion, because I remember during my early days, I attended Sunday school every Sunday, and that actually molded me into the person I am today. I've never departed from religious teachings, which I had many, many years ago. And so it is very, very important for parents to understand that religion will play a part. And so while family structure, I think that might not be an influencing factor or a very important factor, what is important is for parents to understand their role and understand their purpose. And with that, I think all the other dynamics will come into play.
All right, so let's go back to the parenting and the parenting skills education. Now, how is parenting skills education beneficial to the parent and the child? I guess we can start with the parent first. How does it benefit the parent? We mentioned a few things. We mentioned guidance and support, but are there any other ways in which it is beneficial to the parent?
It is beneficial to the parent if they have the knowledge. Then the child is going to benefit because the parent will take the necessary time need to guide and direct that child, to sit down with that child, to give that child a hearing. Because sometimes a child needs somebody to talk to and somebody to listen to them as they speak. And if a parent get this education and understand that, look, I need to listen to my child. Because too many times we talk down to our children and don't give them the opportunity to speak to us. And big bad bull is there, so I gotta be quiet. We need to understand that. That child, given that opportunity to speak to the parent, then that child now start developing and is being prepared to take on parenthood, even though that child is 10. And that's why you can see some children can guide, and they are leaders, and they can guide others in their class and help others who may not be having that same kind of a skill, because they are now getting a skill from their parent, which the parent has received. So when that parent allow themselves to be trained, because you have a book on the shelf, and if you don't read it, you wouldn't get the knowledge that is in it. You as an individual must lend yourself to learning. And when you learn, you don't have an alternative. You will pass it on. Because when you get good, you want to share it.
With that being said, I support him, and I would also like to say that as parents, we need to be extremely careful as to what we do and say in the presence of children. Too many times we find the mother saying one thing and dad is saying something else. And we find when that happens, children understand who they can go to for what and when. So what they do, they play the mother against the father. And then we have a system where they divide and rule. So they have their way. While mom and dad is apart, we dance in the middle and have fun. So that is a key thing I think parents need to pay attention to when, in terms of getting the necessary information to understand. They should be standing together in solidarity when it comes to the decisions towards the children, be it their education, their church life, the games, their friends. They must sit down and discuss and take one common decision when they're dealing with the children.
You know, I want to go in here and share my experience growing up with my parents. If you go and you ask dad for something, and you say you'd like to get this and that, okay, did you talk to your mom? Did you speak with your, go talk. When you go to her and you give her the other side of the story and tell her, Mom, you know, we have this thing I call it. I think you should talk to your dad, you know. Who should I really talk to? The thing is, what is being said there, you can't play us.
Yes.
Because the decision comes down that they have to communicate and make a decision. So when the decision is handed down, you don't have anything wrong. The other thing I see my parents taught me is that if my father make a decision, my mother does not agree with it, she never changed that decision. She goes, she talks to him and tell him, look, I don't think this is a good, and you don't hear that conversation.
Okay.
True.
You don't hear that conversation. It has been done. And then the next thing you know, you see dad come and he changed it. How I knew that happened is because I had a big brother. He was told to weed the yard. My mother was leaving to go to a meeting. That was about 5 o'clock. She said when she come back, the yard must weed because since last week you were supposed to do it. When she came home the night 8 o'clock, it wasn't wet. And she called him, she said, didn't I tell you to weed the yard? Get a cutlass, get his rock card, put it out there. My father was a musician. He has gone to band practice. One of the bandmen was pass and see him in the yard weeding with a light. But I don't know if he didn't look well, because my mother was sitting on the step watching him, not knowing that she knew that the father would have been coming home. Because when the friend passed and he gone, he said, how you forgot about weeding this hour in the night with light? Huh? He fly home because he know the danger. When he got home and he saw him, he said nothing to him. He went straight to my mom. How could you have this boy weeding at this time? You know how long I tell him to do it? And he didn't do it, so he can do it now. And if he cut himself, and they told him have a story, and you can't say good, bad, or anything. You can't get in that conversation, because it doesn't, if you get in there, you're going to get a share. And my father and my mother discussed that issue right there. And he said, I'm going to see that you do it in the morning. You can see him, well, that's left up to you and him. And he went out. He never told him anything. My mother then tell him, okay, pick up the cutlass, pick up the light. Tomorrow morning, you and your father can do it. And I realized that we can't play our parents as we like, because mommy and daddy, they come together at night and they make the decision. And this is what parents today need to understand. As my sister rightfully says, the children, they know us and they're going to try to play us. They'll tell the mother one thing and tell the father something else. Divide, and then they're ruling. So who is in charge of the home?
The
Is it the parent or the children? And I've seen children drive their parents, woo! So we gotta come together as parents.
So Melanie, I would like you to answer that question in terms of your experience working with a number of parents. How is it beneficial to them? I'm sure some of the parents would have come with their various challenges, and after the program, there may have been some change. So tell us about some of those changes.
I had a similar experience, just as the topic is here, where the mother was complaining that she would make decisions in the home, but her husband would contradict her decision. So she said sometimes she would go to bed because she's tired. She have 2 small ones, so she's at home, she go to bed. And when they get home, when he gets home, they would ask him something. So he ain't seen there's a problem. He gave in to it until he realized that she would pass a decision and they tried to override her decision by coming to him. So the first time she came to the session and we discussed the basic stuff, she asked me if she could bring him along. And he came to the session. Around the fourth session, he shared the same thing that she told us early up in the session. And he said, now I'm at this session, I get to realize that my children are manipulating me. So he said, what I will do, I now understand that decision making in the home is a collaborative effort. So my wife and I will decide what will happen. The following session he came back and he said when he got home after that session, he gathered his family together and he told them what he went to the session, what he was informed of, and he told them from henceforth, this is how it will go. You don't ask me something if mommy already passed the decision. Nothing like that. So from the fact that you can able to bring a decision making collaboratively. One thing that I've been observing, you find in an environment where it's a extended family, you find oftentimes the grandparents try to overrule the decision of a mother. Now it's a mother who ought to be grooming his or her child. And we're not grooming these children for ourselves, mind you. We're grooming these children for the society at large. So because, oh, she's a child, he's a boy, leave him alone, he's still small. Automatically this tree is growing, right? And right before our eyes, when these things started, when it escalates and starts to bear fruit, it suddenly becomes your child misbehaving, not knowing you as a grandparent, aunt, uncle, or cousin helped to make this tree bringing forth the fruit of its kind.
Okay, so let's look at the perspective of the child. How does parenting skills education help the child? And I'd like Mr. Fraser to start us off.
What I would say is that there will be positive outcome for the children because one, children would have a voice. And in that voice, they will be able to relate to their parents, right? How they feel. You see, many times children have feelings, and some parents don't understand the feelings of their children, so they're easily shut out. You know, they're criticized, they're condemned, and so children are unable to express themselves. They're unable to bring out their full potential, and so one of the benefits would be positive outcome for children, discipline, which is so important, and we need disciplined children. I would normally say to children, because I'm also a school teacher, discipline should be their creed. I think all individuals in society, because we need, for us to move forward as a society, a very effective and productive society, we need discipline. And so having parenting education skills would enable a disciplined society or create a disciplined society. And we will see this discipline manifested in all different areas. Take, for example, in our society, we have a problem where you're supposed to reach to work for 8, let's say 8:30 or 8:45, and persons would turn up at 9 o'clock, 9:15, and there's always different excuses and reasons why they can't be at work at 8:30 or 8:45. That in itself is indiscipline, and if we're dealing with children, and we're doing that, it means that children will see that as a norm.
That's right.
And so what parents need to understand is that when you serve as a parent, you yourself need to be disciplined so that your children will see what you're doing and they will do the right thing.
Role modeling.
Many times the problems in the society is that adults do one thing, children do something else. And so when children do the wrong thing, they try to discipline the children, but they are contributing to the indiscipline. So it's important for parents to understand that those are two key factors. And those are two key benefits. You see, children have rights, they have responsibilities, just like adults, right? Yes. So it's important for parents to understand that. You see, the fact that I've been working extensively in all different areas within the education system, I understand. But one of the key things that would have been recurring on the part of children is that they have a voice, they need to be heard, and sometimes because of the differences playing out in the family, that sometimes prevent children from realizing the full benefits of proper and effective parenting skills education.
Okay, anyone would like to add to that?
Yeah, I would like to re-emphasize discipline. And discipline go across barriers. When you are self-disciplined, you cannot go wrong in terms of your self-esteem. You model good behaviors. You know where to go in terms of what's right and what's wrong. You even will tell your friend, your colleague, that is not nice. Do not, because you are disciplined. And when you have parents who have the knowledge of how to parent a child and follow the rules and regulations governing good behavior, we see it manifest in the behavior of children. We see good things coming out of those children. It was Baldwin who said that children have never been good at listening to their elders, but they have never failed to imitate them. That is something and it's one of my favorite saying,
So true.
I like it a lot because it's just what it is. It's just what it is. And I really, parents need to look at themselves. They need to look at themselves. I would normally tell them that, it's not too late. We can start now, especially when you have younger children. Sometimes you have difficulties with the older ones, but you have to start and you can get help. You can seek help, call, you have parenting officers now, you have so many avenues. You have churches where pastors are willing to give guidance and counseling for parents and so on to help. We have psychologists who deal with the adolescents, we have the anger management and the stress management, and all those things are being addressed now. So it's no longer where parents can just sit down and wallow in the pitiful situation. They can seek help. It's not, for me, there's nothing like being a good or a bad parent. Just be a real one. Just yes, be the best possible one you can do. Just be a real parent. What real parents do, they will counsel, they will guide, they will rebuke, they will love, they will provide, they will do things. Just do what you think is necessary for you to have the best children.
I want to ask a question. I'm a trained carpenter. Do you think I can teach mechanics? And there's where it is. As parents, we need to develop the parenting skill that we can take care of our children. And the way that's going to be done is that we need to have ourselves educated. We may not know the right and the know-how, but we have children and they need to be guided and taken care of. What we need to do is to find the resources, as my sister rightfully says, where I can develop these skills. But don't want to be a carpenter and go trying to teach mechanic, because you're going to mess it up and you're going to have a wooden car without an engine and it can't go any place. So this is the fundamental situation that we have. Today, as the scripture says, children bringing forth children, you're having a lot of parents that ain't ready for parenting. And a lot of parents that don't even know what parenting is all about. But they are parents. So what happens here is that society is being developed with a lot of offshoots. Carpenters that want to be mechanics. So we have to try to find a way that we can motivate our parents today to get to the place where they can develop the skill they need to bring up the tomorrow generation.
But I love those points that came out. Discipline and positive outcomes. Parents, you need to understand that it starts with you. You are the role models. It's not so much about what you say, but the example that you set. So we're just going to take another quick break. Please stay with us. There's much more to discuss. We'll be right back.
Very sad. I feel very sad.
I feel sad from not doing the right things.
I feel sad and unhappy when I get links.
Sad and angry. Bad for doing the wrong things.
I feel bad because I get licks for a reason.
I feel sad and hurt, but I also know that my parents are trying to protect me and make sure that I get things right.
Bad because I did the wrong thing.
I feel sad when I receive licks.
Feel sad because I didn't do the right thing that I supposed to do.
I feel bad because I did the wrong thing.
Angry and sad at the same time.
Bad.
Sad. Bad because it hurts my feelings.
Okay, welcome back to Step by Step, the parenting program brought to you by the Child Rights Alliance. And again, we're looking at parenting skills education. Now, a lot of parents need help. So I'd like to ask the panel, where can parents access parenting skills education?
Well, as I said earlier, I'm one of the parenting officer, so can be found at the Heavenly Light World Outreach Fellowship at 150 Cooper Street, Albistown, and we have ongoing sessions. So you can come down there and we can arrange to meet and discuss and assist you in whatever area you need.
Well, I'm working with the Ministry of Education, and we have now formed the school support unit dealing with parents and teachers as well as pupils and so on. And we have now changed, or we're working to change the face of the general meetings at schools, PTA meetings. You know, parents would normally say it's about money and all of that, but we want them to come out to the schools because we have lots of parent sessions and seminars going on at these meetings to help parents to have better children coming to school. We also have the school's welfare department coming out of the Ministry of Education. They usually do a lot of guidance and counseling with parents with difficult circumstances as it relates to their children. So the Ministry of Education in itself has taken on the role of helping parents so that we can have better children coming to school.
Okay, I just want to ask, and if we can get two brief responses. What are your thoughts on the inclusion of parenting skills education in the national education system? I know we have the HFLE, but what are your thoughts, briefly, on including the parenting skills education in the national education system?
Well, it's not a bad idea. And that is why we're starting somewhere. And we have to start from the meetings. Probably later on we will have specific materials and so on designed to work with parents. Probably that is something we need to look at. But it's a very good initiative.
Yeah, I believe it's a good initiative. It's an initiative that would actually build capacity and to help those parents, because there are lots of parents out there who need help. And many of them are afraid to come forward and say that they need help. So with that initiative, we will see, a shift in the way, things are done in terms of parenting skills.
Well, Melanie, as both a parenting skills officer and a teacher, what are your thoughts?
I applaud the effort. We do need the parents. Oftentimes, I feel as a teacher that parents see school as a drop-in center where they just come the first day, enroll the child, and we don't see them back until graduation. So the fact that we have this structure program here, we can bring the parent together and we can have topics that can actually enhance their skill as parent, it's going to do a whole lot of difference.
Okay. Well, we're running short on time, so I'm just going to give you just about 30 seconds or so to share your final thoughts. I'll start with Mr. Fraser.
Well, I would like to introduce this book to the public. And the fact that my colleagues talk a lot about resources and so on, this is a very, very classical resources that parents can benefit from. It's managing risk-taking behavior and examination of bullying. And what I want parents to understand is that this book has a wealth of strategies that parents can use. There are also interventions that parents can use to solve some of the issues and problems in terms of behaviors. So this would be one of the resources I think that maybe the Ministry of Education can also adopt, right? NGOs can adopt. Those NGOs and organizations that work with families and parents, this is a book that they can adopt. It's a very, very unique resource. And over the next few weeks, I think this will be disseminated more across Guyana because it's a recent publication. So I encourage parents to make full use of these resources. Amazon, they can find this on Amazon. They just Google Sherwin Fraser books, and they will have all the information in terms of purchasing, etc. on Amazon.com.
Okay. This sounds right.
I like to work with parents, and I love students, and for me as an educator, I want what's best for them. So I would always tell parents, you know, whatever assistance you need, I'm here, I'm willing, I lead you to, you know, I have pastors who will talk with young boys, self-esteem. I have persons in the armed forces, the military officers to talk with boys, you know, who are giving problems, and I would recommend, because you want what is best for children. And so I want parents to know that there are options. You don't have to sit down and just look at the child going to the wilderness and give up. Because if you are the parent and you give up on the child, society will give up on him or her. So don't give up. There are alternatives. Seek assistance, seek guidance. Coming to the Ministry of Education, Schools Welfare Department, School Support Unit, and ask, and you're going to be assisted. The time has come for us to take our children. They're our children, they're Guyana's children, and we want to work to have the best possible children in our country.
For me, look at it as the man in the mirror. The person that is standing in front of the mirror is whom the child is looking forward to guiding them. So if you're not doing a good job, then you need to start fixing it so that your child or children can be or can make a positive contribution to the society at large.
Okay, Mr. Vigilance?
And the ultimate goal is you got to look to God for all your guidance. And I encourage every parent to take some time and read your Bible. You're going to find a lot of educational necessities that will make you a better parent. And from the Seventh-day Adventist Church, we are hoping the next year there will be a center set up. You're working towards that. But you can check the Central Seventh-day Adventist Church at Church on Arnold Street. You have Pastor Garnett there, who is giving this kind of education. He is doing counseling, and he's doing help along that line. You also have Mr. Will Campbell, who is working along there, and you can get the help you need. Any Seventh-day Adventist pastor, you can call and ask for help. You do not have to be a Seventh-day Adventist. You just have to have a need, and you need somebody, you call. They're there for your help.
Okay, you can also call ChildLink at 231-7174, and you can ask for me, Asani Tini, and I'll be happy to give you information on parenting skills education sessions that we have ongoing through the Child Rights Alliance. So thank you so much, panel and viewers, for being with us this evening. We hope that what was discussed here was of benefit to you. And just one final thought, parenting skills education, it will help you as parents to understand your child's developmental needs, and it will also help to strengthen your relationship with the child. We need parenting skills education to have safer homes, safer communities, safer schools, and a safer Guyana.
Amen.
So thank you so much for being with us. Have a wonderful remainder of the evening.